Hey everybody, HamsterSales here with a Starcraft 2 commentary. Today it's on Metalopolis. It is between myself, the blue Zerg in the top position, and Zayok, the red Protoss in this right-hand position on Metalopolis. I think I said that already. Back in the map pool is Metalopolis. Been around forever, been around since the beta. An old favorite of everyone's, I'm sure. Something new about Metalopolis though, it is now tournament style on the ladder. That's right, there are no close positions. There's no funky supply depots at the bottom of the ramp, but there are no extremely close by ground positions. These two positions here, for example, are close by ground, as well as these two here. Those two spawn locations are not possible, so you really only have to scout two as a result. You only have to scout, for me, I'd only have to scout here and here. I get a little lucky and scout him with my Overlord and pull it back before he can see it. It's a nice little trick everybody should do if you're Zerg. And the other thing it means, of course, is that Zerg doesn't get royally screwed over by not being able to expand to their third base anytime soon, because your opponent will be breathing right down your neck. It was a huge disadvantage on this map for Zerg, and I'm glad Blizzard finally made the change. They made it on this map and on Shattered Temple as well. I'm so happy they got rid of that nonsense, that shenanigery that they are up to, allowing Protoss and Terran to spawn oh so close to the Zerg. I also heard that Protoss have big trouble dealing with Terran in close positions, which I can totally relate to. I go for the probe kill. Something you can do if players are a little overconfident in just waltzing all the way through your mineral line. I should have gone for it again. There's no reason not to try it. You can get a lot of scout kills that way. Could have done it right there too. If you're not doing anything else, just have your drone selected, and right when it's in the middle of your group, give it a right click and you should be able to kill it. Also, of course, always want to keep your Overlord over your natural expo like I'm doing here to see if they start to cannon you out, either at the ramp or somewhere behind your minerals or in your proper expansion area. Yeah, this was a fun game. I wanted to cast it. It's on the new old Metalopolis, so I figured why not give it a little cast here. I'm doing my 14 gas 14 pool against Protoss on maps like this that Protoss players would be fairly foolish to fast expand to. My 14 gas 14 pool, I mine to 100 gas, pull off, get speed, and it really sets me in a good position to scout late. I kind of like to scout late, see what they might be doing a little later in the game than that super early drone scout, lose mining time right away. And it also sets me up for that Roach Ling bust that I've posted a few videos about. Something I'm very fond of doing against Protoss players. At my current ladder ranking, it seems to work really well against fellow Diamond players. I just don't think Protoss players can hold Forge Fast Expand. I think it's a lot less of it's much less of a strong defensive position than they think it is. It's just way too easy for me to kill them straight out, so I figure why not do it with a Roachling bust. But this guy doesn't do it in this game. I have had this camera sitting on an empty space for far too long. I'm finally sending out some Zergling scouts here. I always build 4, it gives me plenty to play around with. I send one to the watchtower here, one to the front of his base, and I have a couple patrolling in case he tries to get some more scouting done. I see no Forge Fast Expand, to my dismay. I know it's pretty much a free win if somebody tries to Forge Fast Expand on this map. It's just so difficult to hold. You get about 7 roaches and flood them with lings. But doesn't matter, I also like macro games, of course, and the proper response here is to drone up super hard and take a relatively fast third. I think that's something I'm a little late on in this game, but if I remember correctly, I have good reason. It's not good when you can't remember all the details of the game you played maybe 20 minutes ago, though I did have some engaging conversation with the wife, so that's a good reason to forget stuff, I guess. I'm a bit oversaturated on the main, of course. I finally transfer some in advance of my expo hatching, so decent mechanics there. I probably could have transferred even more, though, given that any future drones popping are probably going to start to oversaturate. If you just click your drones, and assuming you have 2 on gas, you usually want to see about 20 drones for full saturation. You only want about 16 on your minerals, so I'm technically oversaturated by about 5 drones. I don't lose a ton of mining, but it's definitely not optimal. I should transfer those 5 down to my natural or start mining gas again. This is about the time I usually like to start mining gas again. I'm a bit slow here. I do notice I have 2 made drones here, I think. I saw my selection thing going on. But I do put some on gas, so that helps alleviate that a little bit. I did scout what I assumed was a 4-gate. Looks like he's doing a 3-gate expand, though. So I had to be ready for the 4-gate because I didn't send additional Overlords scouting in or find some other way to scout the 3 and or 4 gate. So I had to be prepared for 4 gate, threw down a bunch of spines, and it looks like he's going to be pressuring me anyway, so those spines will come in handy sooner rather than later. I do have tons and tons of drones, and I think I'm still... Okay, I must have either done a transfer there or I've started to rally both bases to my second mineral line there. No, not quite yet. Oh well. But I do see this pressure on the way. They killed my Zergling on the watchtower. This guy really hates Minsk, as most players seem to, although he doesn't completely destroy the statue. Cute little force field on my ramp there that will prevent reinforcements. A smart move by him. But he's not going to move in here. He sees the spine crawlers. He knows that's going to be a lot to commit to. And really, this is just a harassment force. He wants me to force me to build more Zerglings or spine crawlers, like I did. And I'm now getting roaches, so I'm probably still producing units a little too late, but I don't think I have any idea where this army is. This is the only forward unit at all I have as far as scouting goes, and this is actually pretty good overlord placement. But I've not yet sent out any Zerglings or anything, so not that I am also supply capped, so not a lot of things going terribly right for me. But hopefully by now, I forget if I assume correctly that his pressure is off. Yeah, I am expanding now, so I must assume he's no longer pressuring, and I'm building 6 drones. Spending that little mineral bank I developed, as all too often happens when you are supply capped, but I have spent it. The dutiful Zerg. Getting those drones. And you know, this is a good time to expand when you know you have the army to defend that third. I did it well before the 9-minute mark, so not too late at third base. You probably want to do it a little faster than I did when you scout a 3-gate expand like I did. But regardless, I think I did eventually scout that 3-gate expand too. I don't know if I mentioned. I sent a Zergling in. I didn't quite scout the 4-gate versus 3-gate, but regardless, I am now in a pretty good position. I've taken my third, getting to layer. And you know, I kind of like a late layer against Protoss. You can do a lot of stuff at layer tech, so it's a good place to kind of shoot for and sit on 3 or 4 bases, get a pretty sick tier 2 army. There's no need to take 3 or 4 bases. Something I'm not doing in this game is keeping tabs on his third. He could be getting a third base up and running, which would put me in a bit of a tight spot. But we're staying pretty even on supply. I scout his scout a little early with my forward overlord and decide to kill it. I'm finally sending something into his base. I see the Twilight Council. I believe I react to that by plopping down a spore crawler, because that does mean possible DTs. And I see only gateway units to this point, so I don't know exactly what he's doing yet, but he does have the Templar Archives building I saw in the production tab. I hid them behind his mineral patch. I never knew where those were. But he does have those archives. He can produce High Templar. Great unit against Zerg. Hard counters and festers. He's seen my roaches, and that's a common mix roach infester against Protoss, especially in previous patches. Not so effective now with the pretty significant infester nerfs that I'm still not too happy about, but I am living with. And I'm throwing down this infestation pit. I don't, at this point, I remember, intend to necessarily go for infestors. I really want to scout his tech before I commit to a tier 2 army. For now, I'm just going to produce additional roaches, get some upgrades, getting overlord speed, doing some good things. I don't know how this drone gets out here, but I do remember it does scout his composition here. I see the Archons, so I can assume either DT shenanigery is happening. I do have an overseer at this point already, I believe. Yeah, he's hotkeyed into my main army, something I like to do. But I do see the Archons, so it has to be either DTs or High Templar. And I see the Archon in the mix. That means he probably intends to make that a pretty significant part of his army, additional Archons. So on that read, which is pretty basic and probably not too intelligent, I do at this point decide to go Infester. And we'll see how that works out for me. He's not yet killed this Scouting Overlord, which is kind of silly. I don't manage to scout this, I don't think. At least I don't remember seeing it. So even if I did scout it, I didn't make note of it. No, I just miss it. Kind of unfortunate. But I see multiple Archons. And I'm going to be pretty happy with a heavy roach mix, because I don't see a big, God, what's the word I'm looking for? Immortal Ball or anything like that. I don't see tons of Colossus. Roach is not horrible against Colossus, but they cannot be the only unit you have. Gateway Colossus just smashes Mass Roach in 200 encounter. So I'm pretty happy at this point. I'm getting additional drones, going for Infester tech. At this point, I'm just planning to go Roach Infester on the assuming that he's going to have a high amount of Archons in his army. He only has 2, so that's a bit of a poor read on my part. But Roach is not bad against High Templar either, so this huge big Roach mix is going to be pretty good for me. I've seen no Robotech, so I still like the Roach. Try to get away from Roach Tech when I see Robotech, but none in the game yet. More and more Archons in the mix. I don't know why Protoss players are so happy just to get Archons. I mean, they're good against Zerglings, but he's seen so few Zerglings from me. Hasn't done much scouting at all. He has not gotten his Robo facility up yet. It is right here. He finally pops it down. I do remember where that was. Yeah, and I'm getting my Infestors. Behind on supply, but I have the production to catch up if I need to. I can react to whatever he's doing. I'm getting Hive Tech in case I feel I need Broodlords, or more commonly against Protoss, I've been getting Ultralisks kind of a lot, experimenting with that a little bit. Their ability to crush force fields, of course, is excellent, and then also you get to absolutely demolish Colossus if they somehow switch into that. But he does have the relatively Archon-heavy mix. He probably should have more High Templar, honestly. I consider it a better unit and get a higher DPS unit than the Archon, but Archon's not so great against Roaches, really, especially cost-effectively. But he is moving his army out here, and he's getting either just lucky. He might have just been trying to swing around to attack my 3rd, which I've heavily entrenched with Spinecrawlers. I had a bit of a mineral bank, but he did see the drone coming down to plop down a 4th base. I cancel that, and that is one lucky drone. He survived somehow. I remember that and thinking, how the hell is that drone still alive? But it made it somehow, and he's walking into my Spinecrawler wall here. I have a good amount of Roaches getting stormed like crazy there. I do pull back though. Took most of the damage from those storms on those Roaches. Not throwing down additional storms though. Not sure why he's not doing that. Some decent force fields, split the army a little bit. But I get Neural Parasite off on the Archons, one of the units that's still useful to use against because they are at the front of the Protoss army. And not enough storms from Zayok here. Would have liked to have seen more of that to put DPS out on my clump of Roaches, but was unable to do so. Roaches can do okay in Storm, especially if I had Tunnel and Claws researched. It wasn't quite finished yet. It's not the best unit to use Storm against, but they are clumped up. You need to put out the damage and finish them off somehow. They are beefy, but Storm can do a really good job of it. It'll do more than 2/3 of their health, I believe, if they bathe in an entire Storm. So I'm feeling great. Crushed this whole army. We are on equal bases now, but I had my 3rd earlier than him. Have a lot of banked resources. I remaxed pretty quickly. He's still sitting on 145 supply. His macro may be slipping a little bit. He has money and gateways. Maybe not using those gateway cooldowns like you should be. No High Templar back to defend, and this Roach army gonna crush him. I think I have 1/1 upgrade, 2/1 upgrades to his 0/0, and not enough energy to fungal with any of these infestors, so I had it in mind the entire time to throw down these infested Terrans. Pretty easy cleanup for me. He's not going to be able to reinforce. Doesn't have enough gateways or tech really to stop this push properly, and that's going to be game. I thought this was pretty fun game for myself. I've been playing much worse than this lately, so it felt good to get kind of a correct read on a player at least and finish him off. I haven't been doing too well late game. Most of my wins have been of the cheesy variety. I get very frustrated and act a little cheesy. Send these guys into the main base while my Roaches clean up the 3rd. I believe it calls GG momentarily though. So that was a pretty fun game. I wanted to cast it, just played it. There it is. I've been playing a little more intelligently lately, like my last few games, so I felt like showing it off a little bit. Thank you so much for watching as always. Please let me know what you thought of my cast. Any comments, ratings, anything like that, I much appreciate it. So if you could take the time to do that, I would be grateful. And thanks once again for watching.